Hi everybody, I'm Alain from Alchemical Works, which is my one-man studio where I make the game BattleJuice Alchemist. I recently posted the trailer for BattleJuice Alchemist on Reddit and the feedback was just incredible to me. You gave me over 20,000 upvotes and there were 400 comments and I think all of them were positive, and I wanted to say thank you so much for that. In this video, I'm going over the questions that you were interested in the most, which is the inspirations for BattleJuice Alchemist. So let's get started. The most important inspiration for me is quite obvious, I think. It's Diablo. I played Diablo 1 and 3, but what I played the most is definitely Diablo 2 and the expansion Lord of Destruction. It's the game that I played the most for the last 20 years. It's not only the mechanics and gameplay, but also the atmosphere and dark tone of Diablo 2 that make me come back to it. I guess most of you have very fond memories of playing on Battle.net, but I only play Diablo 2 on single player and especially enjoy the lower character levels, where the world is really dangerous and you have to face it alone. Visually, a major inspiration for me is the game Don't Starve. This game has a very beautiful 2D style, but BattleJuice Alchemist is full 3D. This is because I'm not so good at drawing, but have worked in 3D for many years. I try to find my own style in 3D that looks rough and hand-drawn. So you can see that Don't Starve had a big influence on finding a style for BattleJuice Alchemist. I created a lot more realistic assets for older projects, but very early in the development of BattleJuice Alchemist, I decided that I simply do not have the time to work this way. That's why I make my models on a level of very low detail, and I animate them really quickly, because otherwise I could never get a game done all by myself. Also, I force myself not to get lost in the details when painting textures. This is where another big inspiration of mine comes in, which is the work of Mignola, who is a comics artist and writer. What I have here is the German version of his Hellboy series, which isn't colored, and I think that brings out even more what is defining for Mignola's style. He uses so much black that it appears as if he's painting white on black and not the other way around. As you can see, I also have a lot of black in BattleJuice Alchemist, to a point that my day-night cycle is more of a night-night cycle. Beside Mignola's visual style, I also love the stories he tells, which are inspired by the work of H.P. Lovecraft, folklore, and classic horror movies. Horror cinema is very important to me as well, especially the classics of the 1930s, but also, of course, the 1980s horror films. I went to university and majored in film studies. Yes, you can do that. And I did a lot of research on werewolf movies. The myth of the werewolf is deeply rooted in European folklore, and you will find a lot of that in the story of BattleJuice Alchemist as well. Another very inspiring person to me is James Rolfe. You might know him as the angry video game nerd from the internet. He also runs the website cinemassacre.com. James Rolfe has a passion for horror movies, and over the years he has reviewed hundreds of them, and I think I watched every single video of that because he has such a unique and personal perspective on these films. As a filmmaker, James Rolfe has a real do-it-yourself attitude, which is inspiring to me as a solo developer. You don't need a big budget or anybody's permission to be creative, which is what James Rolfe seems to live by. In 2016, I was lucky enough to get the chance to work with him on the post-production of his first feature film, where I did some compositing and animations. James Rolfe is a really hard worker who keeps going and going and going. And this consistency, in my opinion, is the most important thing there is, no matter if you work on movies or video games. So that's all for now concerning my inspirations for BattleJuice Alchemist. Of course, there's a lot more, like the work of Tim Burton or of many synthwave artists concerning music. If you're interested in that, I can make a video about it. Thank you again so much for the great feedback on Reddit. You can wishlist BattleJuice Alchemist on Steam. There's a link for that in the description. You can follow me here on YouTube, but you can also support me on Patreon if you like. Thank you so much for watching and take care. Bye.